There are over 500,000 kids in foster care across the United States, and making sure they're well taken care of takes a village. I'm Erin Lindstrom, and this is Foster Care Aware, a production brought to you by Tidewater Friends of Foster Care with support from the Barry Robinson Center. If you've had it on your heart to become a foster parent, volunteer, donor, advocate, or just want to learn more, you're in the right place. For more information on how to move forward, head to fostercareaware.org/next steps. And now I'm thrilled to share today's segment with you. I am joined by Audra Bullock, the president and director of Tidewater Friends of Foster Care, and Melvin Roy, who is a former foster youth and the founder of Foster U. Thank you so much for joining us, Melvin.
Of course.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the panel discussion that we had, Melvin is on that as well, and it's incredible. Definitely go check it out. So let's start off, Melvin, can you tell us a little bit about your journey in foster care so our viewers have kind of an understanding of your background and what brought you here today?
Sure. So I came into foster care, it was March 26, 2015. I came in, of course, because of abuse and neglect allegations that took place in my home. I still technically am in the system just for financial support for college. But yeah, through my time in the system, I transitioned between 4 foster homes my entire high school career. And now I am a student at ODU, majoring in human services with a minor in psychology, and I'll be a junior in the fall.
Amazing.
Well, and that's fantastic. First, I want to let our viewers know that about the program that you're in foster care that provides that support. It's called Fostering Futures, which allows young adults over 18 to remain in foster care and still receive those services of financial support and housing support while they're transitioning through to independent adulthood. So that's incredible. And number 2, I want to talk about Foster U, but I want to also applaud you for being like one of the people that excels in this realm, because I think most people don't realize that kids coming from the foster care system, there are only 3% of them that get a 4-year college degree. So you're incredible first. So tell us a little bit about how you came to do that and what is your mission with Foster U that helps others?
So how I got to college was after I came into foster care. I was with United Methodist Family Services, and they had a plethora of programs to support the youth. And I have to say, at the time, some programs rubbed me the wrong way, others I was excited about. But I participated in almost everything, and just being there and being present and getting involved really kind of helped shape who I am. UMFS did a really good job with their programming. So from there, just being involved with them, I kind of saw firsthand the experiences of other youth. And I've talked with some youth who would say college wasn't an option for them, they couldn't afford it, or people told them that they couldn't go or they wouldn't make it. And I just always thought to myself, I'm like, there's no way. I had my ups and downs, and high school was really tough. And I think it was when I hit rock bottom in high school that I told myself, this won't be my life forever. And this is just a phase. And so after I hit rock bottom, I kind of just pulled myself back up, and, I saw ODU as my how can I say it, the light at the end of the tunnel. And so I just kept pushing for that. And then when I got to ODU, it was my life just changed. I knew I wanted to start an organization on campus. I just didn't know what. And so then when I got there, I kind of looked and I was like, well, are there any support systems for foster youth? And I didn't see anything. So one day I stood up at this Black student dinner that they had on campus called the Sankofa Dinner, and the moderator asked, what would your legacy be? And I stood up and I said I wanted to start an organization that would help foster youth. And that was my freshman year. And so then fast forward 2 months later, I ended up starting Foster U. And now where I am now, Foster U's mission is to encourage higher education at foster youth through community service, mentorship, and workshops. To kind of help foster that long-term vision of one day attending a 4-year institution. And in this case, ODU will be that 4-year institution. So It's been a journey. It's been a for honesty, it's been a tough journey because, starting an organization that, you know, helps foster youth is not as black and white as it may seem. It's very, very tough, but I, try every day to perfect it and make it better because I know that one day it's gonna be something great.
I think it is already something great, Melvin. So thank you so much. I think there are a lot of challenges that foster youth face kind of a transitory lifestyle, unfortunately, sometimes moving home to home. But for you, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you faced in your experience to get to where you are today? And what do you think other youth might experience? And how do we address that together?
Um, One of the biggest hurdles that I faced was trying to get over the hurdle of being seen as so independent. And people just saw that I was just Melvin and I just did my own thing. So no one really like paid attention to me in the way that I wanted them to. It was like, oh, Melvin, can you do this? I'll say yes. All right, great. There he goes. Another speaking engagement, another this, another that. But no one ever really took the time to really like sit down with me and ask me like, what's really going on? Like, what are your true needs that you like? And like, I tried to voice them in other ways that I thought people would see, but that didn't work either. Like the need for like a family, like a true family. That was like one of the biggest hurdles is like, how do I navigate not having that family, how can I say it, that family aspect in my life or that feeling of being a part of a family. There it is. That was a struggle. And I mean, honestly, aside from that, it was nothing else. But it was just, I wanted people to check on me more and stop assuming that just because I did, I ran across the country and back, that doesn't mean I'm okay.
Right. We've heard that before from our speakers from Foster Club that said, there are two types of foster children, usually those that, very openly have their issues out for, everyone to see, and those that are overachievers that everybody just presumes are fine and propels them forward without acknowledging the hurt, the scars, the need inside. So thank you for sharing that. It's incredible. So as you say, being part of a family is important. And I think that everybody, I mean, innately, I think we evolve to need that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think more and more, we get away from the nuclear family in today's day and age. And I think that also is particularly challenging for foster youth. But what, is your organization filling that role for you, or are there needs for families to come in with, adult foster alum to support and provide a family kind of network?
Wait, okay, so could you repeat that?
Sorry, Melvin. I'm sorry. I know that's not in our question script.
No,
But
it's okay.
as I'm listening to you, I hear that there's an element of a family network that could be missing, and we know a lot of kids age out of foster care without a permanent family. And I'm wondering, Foster You seems like a kind of organization that not only encourage foster youth, but can be that belonging. And I'm wondering how our viewers can come forward and support that in an even, more family style way, that maybe these are members of the community that don't have any knowledge of foster care other than participating in our foster care aware event, but that really genuinely care. And how can they maybe fold into what you've already got going on that might help other youth that don't have that permanent family?
I think that one way that like individuals from the community can kind of help support Foster You and like the vision that we're trying to push across in our mission it's just by being present and bringing forth like all the supports that they have with them. Because honestly, there are some people in my life who came along and just brought a whole train of people with them to kind of help support me and like help me navigate this crazy thing called life. Um, and so like I think that's where it starts, just kind of showing up and giving it, you know, your all.
Yep. I totally hear that. And I think it really is like, you know, we've gathered the people who kind of care. And it's almost like, even if you don't want to be a parent and you're not in that place, it really, to me, sounds like it's about being humans together.
Yeah.
Like showing up and like, oh my God, like we all have needs, right? And we all want that sense of belonging. And like, how can you just like look around and like include someone else? And like, if it's foster care related and just in like normal everyday life, because we don't know everyone's history all the time. But I think you make a really good point of like, everyone has like a silent struggle that we're not talking about. And foster care, obviously, like it gives you that struggle, right? It's part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just widely speaking that like everyone is kind of going through this. And so how can we kind of take what we're hearing from you and make that part of just how we are as people, to be more inclusive, to ask how we can help, and to, you know, kind of pay it forward constantly? Because it sounds like you've had like a couple key people, definitely not everyone, but a few people who have stepped forward. And it sounds like that's really what changes everything. And
Yeah.
it's incredible that you've now kind of put yourself in that position with Foster U to be that person who's starting the ripple effect. And I think that's the amazingness of like, no, it's not okay that anyone has, you know, the pain and the reasons for coming into this, right? But it is like the beautiful aspect of like, wow, you're being the change you wish to see in the world. And so thank you for doing that. Can you, not to put you on the spot, but can you just talk to us a little bit about like long-term vision? Like, what are your goals for Foster U? And like, how can people watching, and people are going to connect with you because you're an incredible speaker, an incredible person. Like, what can they do to get involved? And what do you see as like the, you know, the long-term mission? Where are we if we fast forward to 5 years from now and we're having this conversation? What do you want?
I love this question because I think about it all the time. Um, I think like I'll start off with like the long-term vision and then I'll go back to how people can support that. So like my long-term vision is for, you know, God willing, that like Foster U turns into like a nonprofit. I wanted to become a nonprofit. I wanted to be at multiple universities. And I don't know, I I see this being like so much more than what it is. I would, you know, I take little notes every once in a while when I think of like ideas. So like some ideas I have is like, you know, Christmas in July, college style, like where I have people donate like items for youth for college, and like we have Christmas in July, and you know, you have like a little trunk party or something like that, and then also like um, having a fleet of SUVs to like take foster youth on college tours, um, all sponsored by Foster U. I don't know, all of that, the whole 9 yards. So, you know, I take my little notes and I say one day. But how people can like get, I guess, support my long-term vision now is by, like I said, showing up. That's a big thing for me. And also like getting the youth involved. That's like one of my biggest struggles with Foster U, is like trying to get to the youth, because there's so many hurdles to like connect with the youth. And like, I know I struggle with that. I know like there are another whole amount of programs across the Hampton Roads area that are for foster youth, and all of them struggle with trying to get youth to show up to their programming.
Right. Well, that makes sense too with coming into foster care and the attachment issues. Like there's a trust issue. So showing up, building that relationship, like it's hard to get over that hurdle, right?
And their confidentiality issues, I think that all of the nonprofits in our area struggle with, because there is a delicate balance between really protecting the confidentiality of a child and protecting them to the point that nobody can help them, right? And social service offices, I commend them because I think it is a very challenging, rope to walk. But I think systemically, this is an issue, not just locally, but across the nation, which you know, there's some people out there with nefarious intentions, and there's some very deep-seated hurt that can be brought to the surface unintentionally by identifying a child as a foster child. But, you know, if you don't know who these children are, how do you help, right? So that's, I think, it's a challenge. And Melvin, I feel your pain on that one, because there are a lot of people that come to the table that want to help with all the best intentions. And sometimes that's gone beautifully right. And sometimes even with the best intentions, it's gone wrong. So yeah, it's hard. And then once you do get them, you're right, the trust issues, Aaron. These children don't want to be let down. And in combination with some of those challenges of protecting their identity, they end up being let down, right? So it's a challenge.
That's an interesting tightrope to walk, and I commend you for, you know, I think we're all here, right? Anyone attending foster care aware is, because we're like, all right, there's complications here. Like, how do we figure this out? And so having conversations like this, I just really appreciate the opportunity to talk about it and to have your perspective, Melvin, and like, oh yeah, because now we're talking trust issues, and now we're talking about how do we get rid of the shame that I imagine, right? Like, I'm listening, I don't know this from experience, but I imagine there must be some shame then in identifying, right? Yeah. And then taking that out of the system so you can really shine, because that's not gone. Like, every child, whether they're in the system or not, has the potential to, you know, live their best life, whatever that looks like. And like, how do we support everyone and get them through that?
Yeah. And like with Foster U, I also recognize like there's a lot of trust issues amongst foster youth. And so my approach was having people who are near their age who could empathize with what, even though like a lot of the members of foster youth haven't had experience in foster care, it's like you don't have to be in foster care to go through a lot of these things that these foster youth went through. So I try to think about that, and I try to like train the members of foster youth to be, you know, to kind of be on that level with the foster youth, and not like, you know, some adult who doesn't just understand like anything.
I love that you're teaching connection, and that's like the most important thing. And it sounds like that's your like core value that you're really bringing to the table to shift things.
Definitely.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. If people do want more about Foster U, is there a website that they should go to or a place where they can contact you, Melvin?
Yeah, so we do have a website. It's fosteruniv.org. So that's fosteruniv.org. And then also if people have like questions, they can email me at melvin@fosteruniv.org.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Audra. Thank you, Melvin. And thank you. And a big thank you for listening. Foster Care Aware is all about spreading the word about how we can help the kids who are in care in whatever capacity works for you. Tidewater Friends of Foster Care is here to help support you through the journey. Whether you want to be a foster parent, volunteer, donor, or advocate, head on over to fostercareaware.org/nextsteps to learn more.